That was in '65. I went into the Army in September. Went to Fort Dix, and had basic training there. And from there, I went to Fort Benjamin Harris, Indiana, for training in finance. And from there, I was there for 6 months for training. From there, I had to go to Texas. And I was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, which I spent there, had to be almost a couple of years, almost. Then I went overseas my last year. So my last year of service, we left Fort Hood on a train. I went over as a 198th Infantry Brigade. It was a whole brigade that was going over at that time. So we got on a train. We had to go to Oakland, California. So in Oakland, California, we got on a merchant marine ship. We had 2 ships. That's how big it was. Number of men that were going over at that time. And took us 20 days to get over there. And on the way there, we stopped in the Philippines. From the Philippines, we went to Chulai. That's where I was going. And Chulai was not that far from Da Nang. In other words, I was up to the DMZ zone. So I was fortunate, since I worked in finance, I did not see really action itself, but I helped our men. But our main problem was, at that time, our base was one of the ones that had an Air Force base. So we would get rocketed. So that was scary. That's one night. I'll give you an example. One night, you know how they storage oils in these big, I don't know what you call it. It's like a big tanker, okay? It was 1.5 miles away from us. We got rocketed one night, and they hit it. And you see on movies this big mushroom that goes up, like it gets dead silence. Well, that's actually true. It is. And then it let loose. We were 1.5 miles away, and it knocked me on my ass. I mean, it was just, you have no imagination unless you're there and see it. And another thing that I wanted to say is, when you first go over there, they have drills. So if we get rocketed, you would know where to go in case of being rocketed. So I was kind of irritated, because like 3 o'clock in the morning, you get up and go, But if anybody ever heard that sound once, you don't need no alarm to go off to move. It's a scary sound. And we got rocketed quite a few times there, but that was normal for over there at that point because of the airfield. But it was quite an experience, let's put it that way. I was there for 11 months, and then from there I got discharged and went to Seattle, Washington. And from there I got discharged and came home. But you grow up quick. And as far as people having depression over there, it's because you don't realize that you're depressed while you're there. You may later on years say, now I understand why I was that way at that time, because you didn't realize that you were depressed. And it's mainly because you're not home with family. It's quite a thing. We would do payrolls, okay, for the servicemen. Like, I had a company to take care of. I would take care of their payroll. If they wanted something changed, the men would come in from the field and they would tell me. And that's another thing. What people don't understand too is, these men would come in, and I always ask, how are you doing? Because I was really concerned about these guys, And And the sad part about it, this war was a politician war. It was not an outright military battle. Politicians were dictating, you only can do this, you only can do that. And these guys here could not shoot unless they got shot at first, which people don't understand. That's scary when you're in a war like that. And they tried to stay within Vietnam, South Vietnam, where the problem was from the north, which they should have went after. If you're a military person, you would do that, But the politicians wouldn't let them do that. So we lost a lot of lives really for nothing because of that. It's like today in Ukraine. It's the same thing. These people are dying, and my personal thought, the whole world should have stuck right behind Ukraine right beginning to stop this. Not so many lives we got lost. Nobody wants to go to war. In fact, most wars are caused because they want to be top dog. Well, who cares? If you want to be top dog, put them on an island and fight with yourselves, and leave the normal people alone and let them have their lives, because everybody else wants to live in peace and just get along. That's what it should be. I went into a village, and which I was very surprised, and that's another thing, people don't realize how lucky they are with what they have, because these people, most of them were just thrown together hutches they were living in. The one I happened to visit was cement, which was uncommon, okay? And it was just a one room, and that's where they cooked, that's where they slept. If they had to go to the bathroom, they would go outside, and then the people would come around with these carriages and pick up and clean up and stuff like that. So people don't understand that. And we take for granted way too much of what we have. I'll give you one example. We were without electricity for about a month, so everything was by candle at night. No hot showers. You took a shower every day. And you don't realize how much you missed that until you finally get it back. You don't take anything for granted. Live for today, and because tomorrow we don't know. That's the sad part. I would say it was, in general, a good experience for me, because it opened my eyes up to a lot of things, mostly of what we take for granted, and to enjoy life as much as you can. I think that's the biggest thing I took home from there, because I would not like to see anybody in that position. That's why I feel so bad for people that are living under rulers like that. Nobody really acknowledged that you were in service, because at that time they were against the war, a lot of protesting. So nobody ever really acknowledged, and if you said that you were in Vietnam, they more or less shun away from you a little bit. But there's nothing you can do about that. You can't control people. They can think what they want. But I believe that we had the right idea. I think the outcome would have been completely different if it had been a military situation. But that there you can't change. You're supposed to learn from history. And a lot of people are not learning from history. They're repeating themselves. So it's not good.